We will start off with Chris from Sky.
Great to see you. Can we just start with some injury updates, please?
Yeah, everyone that was involved in the squad last week is available again, so it's good, apart from Justa Silva, unfortunately.
And how's Christian following his debut off the bench?
Good. Keep progressing in terms of fitness and good training minutes into him. So he's looking to be in a good place. Of course, it was not a box ticked, but I think it was very important to get that game played, and now hopefully we can, for everyone involved, focusing on football.
Norwich tomorrow, will he be making his full debut for you?
Good question. You'll find out tomorrow. Of course, I'm interested in getting him on the pitch as much as possible. Let's see.
But he's involved in the match day.
He is involved, yeah.
Tomorrow, if he does come on, Anthony Taylor is in charge of the game. There's such a story there. Have you spoke to Christian about this?
Only because Chris mentioned it to me. So I mentioned it to Christian today. So I said, do you know who is the referee? No, he didn't know. And then he started, is it Anthony? And he said, no, how funny, what a coincidence. And yeah, nothing more to that.
But if Christian was to start tomorrow, it'd be quite the story, wouldn't it, that Anthony was in charge of that match?
Yeah, of course. But you could say because if you start and then he's there, yeah. But I guess there would have been a time anyway where Anthony probably would have refed Christian going forward.
Dean Smith called this game, he said it's not a must-win, but it's a must-not-lose. Is it the same for you?
I definitely prefer to win it, let me put it that way. Of course, I think we all are aware, we like to get that win, to get things back on track. The beautiful thing in football is that you can't plan for that. Even the bigger teams, they can't be sure when they go into a game of be 100% sure to get 3 points. What we need to do is to go out there to perform, do our very best to be brave, cool, aggressive, put a very good performance in, and then expect and hope that can be enough to get 3 points. Of course, I'm aware that we are in a similar situation, and a point or win will be big for both teams. So it's the same for both clubs. So there'll be a lot on stake. But the more you can play it as a game, a normal game, the better.
This is your longest period without a win at the club. Are you personally feeling the pressure?
No. I think it's. I understand why you say. I think it was way worse when I just took over. Not that there was any. How can you say, outside or internal pressure on the club? It's more yourself. You're putting the biggest pressure on. You want to win the next game. You want to, stop that run of bad form. I think that's the most important thing. I think it's not. It's because of the tiny bit the perception of it, but also because we did so well. Let's say you dropped down and you didn't know what happened before, and you look at the table, and then you probably thought, no, okay, Brentford must be in a quite good place, newly promoted, lowest budget, all that. Everything is their own hands. And then when we add with some of the very good performance we put in this year, if you add those two bits together, then I think people look quite positive at it. But I'm not blind, I'm not stupid, I'm aware that we need to get a win. So hopefully we get that on Saturday.
More for me, if that's
Yeah.
okay. The Premier League is going to show support in solidarity with Ukraine tomorrow across the games in a variety of ways. Brentford planning to do anything additionally to show that?
Not additionally this moment in time. I think we're all affected by this terrible war, and watching. Personally, I watch news stories every day from Ukraine, and it's such a such a sad story, of course, in every aspect. You know, completely normal people are dying and losing families and everything. So I think it's good that we can put extra awareness on that, on the situation in Ukraine.
The conflict in Ukraine has shed a light on another club in West London, Chelsea. There's been mixed reaction to the news that Abramovich is going to sell the club. Firstly, this is a two-part question. What are your views on that?
There's a lot of things I like to have an opinion about. I think this one is not for me to answer if it's good or bad or the right thing to do.
In terms of his impact on the Premier League, though, nearly owning Chelsea for 20 years, what can you say on how he's kind of changed the dynamic of how the league works?
There's no doubt that there's a time before Abramovich and after. And after they won, 3 championships or something like that? 3 championships? How many times have they won the championship?
5.
Five? You can see, even more. So, of course, he had a huge impact on Chelsea developing into one of the biggest clubs in the world.
And you face them in less than a month. Are you kind of apprehensive ahead of that fixture, or have you got a lot more to focus on before that comes around?
I think I have a bit more to focus on, and especially with one game at a time mindset that we have, then they only focus on Norwich, and I'll start thinking about Chelsea when we are going to face them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good to see you. Just like me coaching out there, okay? I have a window of 30 seconds to speak and then try again. I think, when you're playing 10 against 11 for 80 plus minutes, so there's not too much we could take out of that game. So we had a good week leading up to the Norwich game, where we focused on bits that we can do better in our own game in general, and then preparing for trying to play to our strength and hopefully explore some of Norwich's weaknesses. That's what we've been training on through this week. I think the boys have been training very well, good intensity, good quality. We played 11v11, 3 times 20 minutes on Tuesday with different players and formations and focus areas. So, and yesterday the tactics, and today the set pieces. So I think it's been a good week.
Norwich this weekend as well. What have you made of Dean Smith since he's taken on the job?
I think he's done well. Looking forward to see him. It would be perfect if both of us could get 3 points, but I think that's quite difficult for the game tomorrow. Dean, I have a very good relationship with him, obviously, because we work together, and I wish him all the best going forward. Of course, tomorrow I prefer us to be more lucky and win and play better and win. I think he done well at Norwich. I think he came in and gave them a bit of boost, and I think they play more aggressive now in terms of the pressure. You can see the press more aggressive. So he came in a situation where they were in a difficult place. I think they are still obviously in a difficult place, but maybe a tiny better place since he took over.
Because you know Dean quite well as well. How much do you focus on what Dean might do, and also kind of the Norwich kind of tactical side of it as well?
Of course, that's the other way around. He know me as well, very well. So I focus more on the games I've watched. The 2-3 games we watched leading into this game. That's what I'm focusing on more. The tactics. Then, maybe there's a few bits that he maybe could do in terms in the pressure, or when he's maybe going to change a little bit of system, or all those bits will be in the back of my head. But what every manager is doing in previous games, you analyze it and then you have a really good idea of how they will react in the coming game.
15th in the table as well. Just how much pressure is there at the bottom of the table, and have you ever experienced anything like this in your career before?
I would say I've experienced a lot of pressure. My first job as a head coach in Brentford was definitely also full of pressure in a club that had to win every weekend, and if we didn't do well and had some bad spells, there was definitely some must-win games, and I'm still here, so I must cope okay with it. And I said quite a few times, I think the last 2 years where we tried to get promoted into the Premier League, it's the same pressure. That you want to achieve something. Either you want to achieve that you end as high as possible and stay in the Premier League, or you want to achieve to get promoted. That's the same kind of pressure. The only difference is that you don't get that little treat of a win that often when you are not in the top of the league. But I think it's very important that we have that calm mindset and focus, and even that sometimes it's difficult with the 24-hour rule I always talk about, that not too high and not too low. I think it's crucial because you lost a football match, analyze it, progress, work well during the week, create a good atmosphere, a good environment. I think that is key. Try to learn, try to be better. You win, same, create a good atmosphere, try to learn, try to improve the team. I think that's key. It's easier said than done to do it on a consistent basis, but that is the one success recipe I'm not in doubt of. You need to be able to do.
Players also always in good spirits no matter what's going on. How do you keep them positive when results aren't going your way?
A little bit the same. I think I think it's being consistent in what we're doing. Also the way we approach it, so we are not, how can you say, if we make some mistakes in a game, we concede some goals or make some mistakes that we don't like to avoid, of course we address it in a good way without hammering them. But of course it also needs to be clear, you need to do better here, you need to be in that position, or you need to get out quicker, so it's not in doubt. But on the other way around, also try to reinforce the positive message that there is from each game. And then of course it's a good group of players, as you said, Rebecca, with a good mindset and a good energy, and I think that's a positive mindset. I think that's important, but then you try to also to make some of the trainings that you can, or other ads playful. I think that's important. Thank you. Good to see you.
Just quickly, how has Josh De Silva reacted this week after the red card at the weekend? Because he was out for so long, he's had a couple of games back now, then he gets kind of a free red card. Has he been down himself, or has he kind of come into training with real determination to come back stronger again?
I think definitely determination to come back stronger. I think he's hard done by. I think, as I said after the game, I think it's completely random situation. And I also said that I simply don't understand. I addressed it. We had a Premier League manager meeting on Zoom 2 days ago. Where I addressed with the other managers and some of the ref official, Mike Riley, where for me, what is the difference between Josh De Silva and the Keita situation on the Sunday? I can't see it. For me, two random situations where there is suddenly an opponent in front of you where you either step and plant your foot. So I simply don't understand how that can be a red card. And no, we understand why the rules are as they are. I understand it's difficult to get around that it's potentially a red card for Josh, but it's a completely random situation. What I don't understand why it's 3 days. There must be a difference between a random situation or a coincidence and then a delivery planted foot or 50-50 or flying through through a man. I think that's the big thing. So I think it's very important, for example, that Keita 100% is a red card for me. But also the Kane tackle in the Liverpool game earlier this year. So these things, is as long as it's consistency, then no problem.
And you touched a little bit on it earlier, but is it weird having to go into a game with Norwich and having to analyse a team of, if not a friend, but at least a former colleague like Dean Smith? Are there traits to his Norwich side where you kind of look at and you think, oh, I can see what we're trying to do there and here, and I can come up with a way to kind of counter that?
I think I see it more as you say, it's a normal game against a team where we analyze the team and the coach or the manager. In this case, is Dean, that I know very well. So then, of course, there is some things that I know that he thinks about, but also he knows I think about that you maybe can change the game. Is he coming up with some new solution during this game, or preparing slightly different, maybe? But hopefully we are prepared for each other's different tactics. I think we will be.
Thanks so much. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Welcome.
Dan?
Hi. Down.
Just to follow up on De Silva, did you sort of appeal that, or did you have any dialogue with the league over making that decision?
Yeah, we spoke about appealing it, but I found out it would have been a waste of time. The way apparently, I don't know if it's the law of the game or the way they look at that types of situation like that. So instead of wasting time on a situation where even that we think it shouldn't be, for me it's not that if it's red card, for me it should never be 3 days. I think that's too hard done by a completely random action, if you know football. So.
I suppose, like, frustrating, like I said, from your side, to lose a player who's just come back from injury, you look quite promising since he came back with something that maybe he didn't really mean to do, it just happened.
Exactly. I think it's very frustrating for me, for the team, for the club, but of course, obviously, even more for Josh, that's been fighting so hard to come back to his normal level, and we hope to see some of his qualities. But that's life, If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. So he will just get stronger.
How's Ivan Toney doing? He came off the bench last time when he returned from injury. Is he in a position to maybe start games going forward? Is he back to full fitness?
Yeah, he's definitely in a much better place. He played 3 times, 20 minutes on Tuesday, and looked good. So hopefully he's ready. You're welcome. Yeah.
Hi Thomas. Noah from Haters. Firstly, I wanted to talk to you about the defibrillators, because in the government's PMQs this week, they talked about how they need to sort of start laying some more defibrillators around Premier League grounds, not only for players but also for fans. Obviously, with the situation with Ericsson during summer, this is obviously an important matter. But what do you make of, and why do you think there are so many fans that also have problems in stadiums now?
That's a good question, but I definitely agree it's the right way to have the right equipment and enough of it for all match days, so that just like in the Ericsson situation can save lives. So in that aspect, I think it's very important.
And my other question would be to do with the referees. What can you really say? Because obviously, a lot of fans do campaign for referees to have post-match interviews, like players and managers and everything like that. What can you actually say to referees that's not going to get you a fine, not going to get you banned or whatever? That's still going to get a message across that the refereeing in this country is quite, weird at times.
So you ask me when I could say something about it, or after a game, or now, or?
Well, what I'm saying is with the referee, for example, fans are always campaigning on social media to get the refs in for a post-match interview to say to the refs, how do you think you refereed the game? How was your performance? Do you think that's an important thing to consider?
Definitely, the thing is, as they do, reflect and analyze their games with what's it called? The guy that always coaches, or supervise them. There is a ref supervisor. I think that's very important, and they look back on their games because they constantly need to. How can you say? Make sure that both developing their refereeing, but also get it up to a high standard. I think we are in a okay place, I would say, in Premier League. But I think also we need to look to make it as good as possible. Especially, I'm a fan of VAR, and I think it's getting better and better since it came 3 years ago or something like that. So I think that is a big plus, but it's definitely something that still need to consistently be better. The VAR, I think that's what can help the bigger decision as we just talked about. So it's just unfortunate that there's been a few red cards and also the handball for was it Everton this week. These decisions you need to get right, of course.
And one more if I may. With the summer coming up, obviously, if you do stay up, it's a crucial transfer window. Obviously, investment will be probably the same because you are one of the lower invested clubs in the Premier League. But what would you sort of advise the way to go about this to improve the squad, to develop the things you need? And obviously, are you happy with the squad as it stands as well?
I think going into the summer transfer window, I'm convinced we'll do what we try to do every year, try to improve the squad, make it better. I think I've said that the whole season. I'm pleased with the squad, but we'll probably identify a position or two where we maybe want to improve, or in general just make maybe even more competition in the squad. So that's definitely the plan.
Cheers, thank you.
Thank you, welcome.
Immediate embargo, Jay?
Hi Thomas.
Hi Jay.
Can I just double check, so is Josh out for 3 games?
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you as well, obviously Saturday, was the first time you switched to a back 4 all season. So is that something that you're going to stick with for the time being, or still not fully decided if you're going to go back to a 3 this weekend?
No, I think, and I know that I will be more flexible the rest of the season. So depending on the game and the opponent, strength, weakness, and style of play, I will still use a back 3 sometimes, and then sometimes play a back 4. I think for me, every single time I changed a system in the last 3 years I've been in charge of Brentford, it's because I thought that helped to bring more of the best player, get the best players on the pitch. I think it's about that. So we still have the same style, still want to play in a specific way. But what it takes to make sure that the best players on the pitch, that's why sometimes I change the system.
I got a bit of that, but not all of it. I know you've mentioned before about not changing things for the sake of changing things, and you kind of alluded to it there. But was this something that you felt just needed to happen to kind of?
Yeah, I think the thing was that how, for example, Josh came back to Silva. Eriksen is another player. Both of them are midfielder. Josh can play to the side. How do we make sure that we get enough of them, the players on the pitch? Can we do that in 3-5-2? Yes, maybe. So I just think I always like to have 2 systems, but it seems to, when they change, then I stick to it. But we definitely have 2 systems.
Obviously, other people have mentioned about this run that you're on at the moment, but apart from Newcastle, all the teams are above you on the table, whereas your next few games, all the teams are below you on the table, and you've still got to play every team that is below you. So is that kind of something that you're kind of clinging on to at the moment, that it's still well within your hands and you're going to be playing teams in a similar position to you?
Yeah, I think for various reasons, we have 11 games left of this season. It's one game at a time mindset. Of course, I think it's simple analyzing that Norwich is not as good as Man City, or what was I going to say? Wolverhampton is maybe not as good as Liverpool. So it's of course it's games where you on paper have a bigger chance, but we've just seen this league every game, every team need to put a top performance out there to win. Then some teams just have more quality, so they have a bigger chance before the game start. But it's a game where Norwich will come with everything. They'll be very, very aggressive. I think Dean is spot on. It's a game maybe everyone will always say until it is the decisive game that it's a must-win game, so no one will really say it's a must-win game. It's a game that's very important, both teams, and I know both teams will be up for it, and I think it'll be a fantastic game to be part of.
And then final question from me. I know the women's team are trying to break their attendance record on Sunday, so I just wanted to ask you about how important it is to kind of everybody associated with the club kind of gets behind that and shows their support, and then wanted to ask you if you plan on going as well.
A few plans on?
On Sunday the women's team are playing,
Yeah.
trying to break the record.
Yeah.
Just about as many people with the club going as possible, and I
Yeah.
just wanted to know if you were going as well.
I haven't decided yet.
Might be a day off.
Might be a day off, yeah. I hopefully be a day off. I think that's great, and I think as many people that can support each other and all the women's team will be fantastic.